Let's jump into the demo here. So I'm going to jump out of this slide presentation, and I'm looking at the Chrome browser here, and notice I've got 4 tabs, and right now I'm looking into Office 365, SharePoint Online. I can see a set of folders. I can go into Salesforce. So I'm accessing these cloud-based services live. Notice one's a repository in SharePoint and Office 365. In this case, I'm looking at a CRM in Salesforce, Google Drive, Box. Now let's bring over M-Files. And this is where it gets interesting. So what you're looking at here is M-Files 2018. And you'll notice the UI has changed somewhat. There's this really cool pin board where you can pin really any object that's of interest, a customer, a document, a dynamic view, etc. So let's look over here in the window in our desktop application and notice that you see now a set of connectors. And those connectors are to SharePoint. And I open up and I want to show that if I'm looking right there at that document and I go back over here to that same location, notice that I'm looking at the exact same folder structure right from within M-Files. I go back in, I can do the same now to a file share. Now this is incredibly exciting. Now notice here that I'm literally in my desktop connecting directly to a file share sitting on premises. And I can browse that the same as I could a file share itself. Now what's so cool though is that I can now access these documents directly from within M-Files while allowing others to continue to access them in the way that they're familiar. But now all of the capabilities that M-Files brings, version control, workflow, permissions, come into play. So a really, really interesting enhancement. So I'm going to go back out to the home. So notice that I can now browse through any of these, and I'm just going to search. I'm going to search on a company. In this kind of fictitious example, we're working on a project with a company called CBH International. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to search on the term CBH. Live search. Now notice my search listing comes up and I see that I've got a set of documents that are in all different locations and systems. But to me, again, as a user, I'm just focused on what's important to me. CBH International. I'm not worried about whether these documents are in SharePoint or Google Drive or a file share or any number of the other repositories that you saw in that picture. But now look at this. I can go into the system and I can do what's called faceted search. So if I want to look at just the information in SharePoint, I just click this button and I can see only the files that exist in SharePoint. If I want to look at the ones that are in SharePoint and this projects folder in a file share, I click that and I can see that dynamically happening live. So this is a live search into these repositories directly from M-Files. Now what you're looking at here essentially is enterprise search. This is an entire market according to Gartner, although they're evolving the name to something called insight engines. But when you see what we're going to do with AI here, you're going to see that in fact, this is that and actually better, because where enterprise search always failed was what's next. Okay, I can find it. What do I do next? Well, you start to enrich it and you begin to manage it. And how do you do that? Well, we're going to show you, and it's quite exciting.